السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah Jalla wa Ala says in the Quran, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every single soul shall taste death. And from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is He granted us as Muslimin different channels wherein our good deeds can carry on after death. And one of these channels is known as al-wasiyyah. Al-wasiyyah in English we translate it as a will. So a person before they die, they are allowed to write a will. What's a will about? Is it only about money, or are there other things that a person may write? When we look in the Sharia, we find that it's been spoken about in a lot of detail. Yes, a person speaks about money, they are owing. Money, they are owed. Not only when it comes to money. Sometimes you may own certain properties that other people don't know about. Sometimes the people inheriting you don't know about. So it's recommended that you write it, because what happens if you don't write it, nobody knows about it, then this wealth gets wasted. Nobody knows who it belongs to, nobody knows how to get to it. Not only when it comes to wealth, also when it comes to advising others. Your wish when it comes to, for example, you used to look after orphans, or you used to give to a certain good cause. All that comes under what is known as the will. As Muslimin, for some of us, it's compulsory to write a will, and for others, it's recommended or mustahab. Who is it compulsory upon? Compulsory upon the one who is owing money to anybody, or they are owed money by somebody. Why? Because if you had to die and you are in debt, or you are holding an amana for somebody else, if you had to die, nobody else knows about it. Let's say nobody else knows about it. What happens to that haqq, that right of that other Muslim or non-Muslim or whoever it may be? Hence, for this group of people, a lot of the scholars say it's compulsory for them to write their will. So for example, you write in your will that I owe so and so, for example 100,000, and I need to pay so and so this much, and I took a loan from so and so on this day. And you also write in that will, money you are owed, because after you die, that money is no longer yours. It goes to the people who inherit. Hence you write, for example, so and so owes me money, 100,000, 200,000. So and so owes me this, owes me this. Hence you have your owing and your owed. And as long as you have owing and owed, you find that most of the scholars say this category of people, it's compulsory for them to write their will. Inshallah, a bit later on we'll see how to write the will. You've got the second category of people, and that is, we could say, majority of the people, where it's recommended for you to write your will. At the end of the day, after you've passed away, there's no way you can increase your good deeds except by, as the Messenger ﷺ says, except by leaving a few things in place. One of them being, you taught beneficial knowledge, you were a reason for that knowledge, you left a sadaqah jariyah, or you left a pious child making dua for you. At the end of the day, you were the reason and the means for these things or these people to come into existence, hence your reward carries on after death. Another means is this will. So for example, you used to help, or you want to help a good cause, or you have wealth and you want people to make umrah on your behalf, or hajj on your behalf. Again, depending on how much wealth a person has. You find people who have a lot of wealth. For this group of people, as long as they're not owing or they're not owed any money, it's still recommended for them. Write it to say, for example, every year, from so much of my wealth, I want you to make an udhiyah, qurbani, or I want somebody to perform hajj on my behalf, or I want to give to a certain good cause. All this is recommended. The question then arises, who am I allowed to write in my will? The Messenger ﷺ says in a hadith, La wasiyyata liwarith. A person who is inheriting you, you are not allowed to write them in your will for any monetary gain. So for example, after you die, one of the people who inherits from you, your son and your daughter, so you cannot write them also in the will. So that's the main condition, number one. And number two is that the amount you are allowed to give in this will shouldn't exceed a third. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, when he became extremely ill, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam went to visit him. And he told the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that I've got some wealth and I want to give 2/3 of it away. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said no. He then tells the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I want to give half of it away. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says no. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu then says, I want to give 1/3 of my wealth away, i.e. in my will. For who? For people other than those inheriting me. Because he had 2 daughters inheriting him. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, الثُّلُثُ وَالثُّلُثُ كَثِيرٌ. 1/3, and you should know 1/3 is a lot. And in the same hadith, he tells him, he says that if you had to give all this wealth away, what about the people inheriting you? It's better for you to leave them your wealth instead of giving it away to others. Why? The people who are inheriting will then have to raise their hands to everybody else and beg. So notice this balance. If you've got a lot of wealth and you're able to give away less than 1/3 in such a way that it doesn't harm those inheriting, then it is mustahab and recommended for you to give away this part. What's closely related to this topic is the topic of waqf and endowment, where you give something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, part of your wealth. There's differences between this wasiyah, the will, and waqf. Inshallah, on another day we'll speak about waqf. As for the will, let's say you've written in your will that I want to give so and so much. A good person or a poor Muslim you were looking after, and you worried that nobody will look after them after you've passed away. So you've written them in their will. Then all of a sudden the next day you want to change. It's permissible for you to change because you haven't yet died. So you're allowed to, and the only time this will is taken into action, is actually practiced upon, is after you die. When it comes to writing these wills, it's important and recommended for you, obviously, to write it in clear writing. Start off, for example, with Bismillah, as well as Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah, etc. This is all recommended, not compulsory. Then you write clearly. For example, I owe so much. This building in this area or in this country belongs to me, and this one doesn't, and this one owes me this. Make sure it's clear. Make sure your writing is clear. If you need to type it out, type it out. Then get your close people who are close to you, to at least witness. At least you have 2 or 3 witnesses. Because a lot of times what happens is when somebody dies, people find a scrunched paper, maybe in a room, maybe in a closet somewhere. And you don't know, did the person write this or they didn't write this? You don't know if somebody's trying to forge or they're not trying to forge. You don't know if they may have written it, but people are not sure. Hey, do we actually owe that person so much? Also, before your will, obviously you write your will on the side, but inform the people around you. Tell them that, you know what, make them aware, those running your business or your family members, that if I had to die today, this belongs to us, this doesn't belong to us. This we have to give so and so, and this is for another person, for example. Because at the end of the day, these are all huquq. These are rights of other creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, most definitely you will give back the rights of people who you owe to. It could be monetary in the topic we're speaking about, and it also encompasses or entails when you harm somebody. It could be verbally, so you swear somebody and you didn't ask for forgiveness, for example. All these are rights that you've taken from somebody else, and you will have to owe them either in good deeds, or if they decide to forgive, then it will be forgiven bi-idhnillah. This is a very important topic. There's many conditions and many rules when it comes to it. I thought it would be of benefit just to remind myself and yourselves, because at the end of the day, we don't know. Life is not guaranteed for anybody. With those few words, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us goodness and beneficial knowledge. Inshallah, maybe next week we'll speak about waqf and endowment and how important it is, and how any Muslim can give a waqf. It could be as simple as giving a glass or a few glasses for a good cause for them to use, and as long as people are using this asset, inshallah you are rewarded. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.